Welcome. In this video, we're going to focus on selection tools as well as layer management. So we'll begin by introducing our start file, which gives us the diary cover and the flower and the number and the clock and the other things here. And this is the end file, what we hope to look something like when we're done. Along the way, we'll learn lots of interesting tips and tricks. So if you want to see these pictures side by side, we're going to go into the top menu where it says Window, Arrange, and go to 2 up vertical. Window, Arrange, 2 up vertical. And when you do that, you're going to get that orientation. Now you can take and you can grab the edges here and move it along, move it so you have more room to adjust. You can also make the pictures in the space bigger or smaller by going over to view and going zoom in or zoom out, or typing in Command plus or typing in Command minus. Now we're not going to work on these actual files. We're going to be observing this one, the end file. So I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to move this over a little bit more so I have more room for what I plan on doing. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new file that I'm going to be using these images on. So I'm going to say File, New. And for this assignment, let's go with US paper size. And let's take it, and please make sure you name it appropriately. Put your period, put your first and last name on it. And we're going to name this one Diary. So not putting your name and your period on the file will lose your points on the rubric, so please make sure you do that. Okay, so now I've created a new file, and now I'm going to tell it to arrange it 3 up. So Window, Arrange, 3 vertical, and let's get started. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take elements of my picture, and I want to utilize it here on my background. So the first thing I want to do is, since I'm making a collage, I want to get myself to look at the book. Let me get the book cover itself. Now notice this book here has this kind of ghosty shadow around it. I don't really want that shadow. It's hard to make a clean selection of that, so I'm going to create that on the new document. So I'm going to take the rectangular marquee tool and make a nice clean selection of it, and you want to get the entire book. Try to avoid anything that's not the book. Switch over to your move tool. You'll notice the little scissors appear. Once that happens, pick it up and drop it onto your new page. Now here you don't have that drop shadow that's around the edge, and if you want to include it, here's a little tip and trick. We go to the layer, and we're going to double click on the layer, and we're going to get the layer styles. And here we're going to go to where it says drop shadow. And over here we see distance, so we can adjust the distance on that shadow. Oh, I don't have preview on. We can adjust the distance on that shadow. We can also adjust the size of it, which will soften it. And if we want, we can adjust the direction. So this is like a sundial here. And having done that, we can also lower the opacity so it's not as intense. And we can do something similar to what we see. So this is before and this is after. I'm going to hit OK. So that's adding a little bit of drop shadow. The next thing we want to do when we go to the new picture is hit deselect. This way you can make new selections without holding on to the old ones. I made that mistake in the last video a couple of times. The next thing we want to do is we want to make a selection of this oval. Now, traditionally, you might want to take the oval and come over and start in the center and hit Option and try to make a selection like that, and that would work. But I'm going to show you a better trick. Deselect, Command D. I'm going to make a square selection around it, but I don't even want all the gray. I just want to get most of the gray enough that I could go around it. So here I've made a selection. I go all the way around the gray. I'm going to take my magic wand tool, and when I hit the Option key, a minus appears. So let's look at that for a second. Let's zoom in on that. Okay, so when come on over, here we go. When I go over to this object and I hit the Option key, well, let's see, I think I made a boo-boo here in terms of my screen, so let's back up a bit. Let's undo what we just did. Here I'm going to take and I'm going to go over to my magic wand tool. I'm going to hit the Option key and minus on the gray area, and I've got a clean selection of just the black. So let me undo that so you can see that. I'm going to make a rectangular selection around the gray space. I'm going to take the magic wand tool. I'm going to hit the Option key. A minus appears, and I subtract away the gray, leaving me with just the black selection with the little gold band on the inside. Take my move tool, pick it up, and drop it into the new location. So now I have here my book, and I have my little oval in the center. Go back to the original document and make sure you hit deselect or type in Command D. Notice that inside that oval there's a clock. So let's zoom into that clock space here, and then let's look at it. Another thing I should do is, if I'm going to be zooming in, let me set up my navigator. Over here under Windows, there's a tool called the Navigator. It's a little window that if I want to move around my picture, I can move around here, and I'll move to everything quickly. So here I am at my lock. I'm going to use the Quick Select tool. Now in the past, I would use a magnetic tool, but the Quick Select tool works here very well. So if it works, use it. So I'm going to take and make sure your brush is small. Don't have a big brush or you won't be able to control it. Stay in the spaces. Do not touch. It's all gray, so stay in the area that would be bordered by the dark edge, and that'll make you the most successful. If in fact you go into a space that you did not mean to, look around up close. For example, here I'm going to hit the Option key and I'm going to correct that. So I don't, and then on the inside, make sure I have what I want. Option lets you subtract, and without the option, you see the plus, and it lets you add. So I go around the edges. Let's see, it looks pretty good. If I'm satisfied with that, then what I can do is I can take my move tool, pick it up, and drag it onto my document. And then from there, I can come back and hit deselect, Command D.